Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Okay, everybody, welcome on in. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremy, we made it. Aren't you glad? You didn't have to start the show with an empty studio.
That'd be awkward.
We were here. Hey, look what's up on the old wall here, Jeremy.
Uh-oh.
And JJ, look at this.
Let me flip those on for you.
Let me turn those cameras on for you. Are those lens caps on it though? Yeah.
You can turn them on, but they're not broadcasting.
No. It goes straight to. So my mom will be like, "Can I see you on the video?" Sure, Mom. The cameras are up. They're not totally there yet, but we are getting there. JJ, this is. I mean, you being on camera, this is when people are going to really be like, "Ooh, you lost all that weight on Salt Lake City fat loss." I'm over here.
I'm not lying.
I know. I'm over here like. Not being able to benefit from people being able to kind of see me make this transformation on the camera all the time. So I'm going to have to start putting pants on in the studio here pretty soon. Welcome to the program.
I never change.
Look, you can't see underneath the desk.
Nobody knows.
I told people for years when I first started working, I was like, Dick Norris doesn't even wear pants.
I've never seen him in pants.
He just wears shorts, walks off the set, boom. He's got runner shorts on. You know those ones? It was like a 3-inch, inseam on those shorts. Welcome to the program. JJ and Alex is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. And you can find the G2G Bars at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other of your grocers in the refrigerated section. So there you go. Everything good? The long week for you, JJ. I mean, my heavens.
A long week in July. Now, July, as many of you know, how many of you are watching sporting events on TV right now if you're not a baseball fan? Probably not many. Baseball's not even going going right now because of the All-Star break. It's the slowest sports week of the year.
And that's in a year that we've had the most intense sports stories in our market that we've ever had. I would venture to say this is the most busy we've ever been in a summer.
If you go back to if you took like last summer and this summer and combined it all together, that span of Utah, of the Pac-12 collapsing and Utah joining the Big 12 with BYU and then getting an NHL team, I'd have to say in my 20 years doing this that definitely qualifies as the wildest year this market's ever seen.
And the stretch started in July 1 of 22. It was actually June 30th when USC and UCLA said peace. So that we're talking 2 years now.
And that summer you saw Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert get traded in the summer.
we've had long
new coach too. Quinn Snyder leaving. And
we've had a wild 24 months. Don't weep for us though. We talk about sports for a living. Okay, so we're on it. We're taking over. We got it. We'll keep this thing going. If there's something to talk about, we will do it.
Well, I said it's the slowest week of the year. We got a full show here.
Yeah, why wouldn't we? Yeah, we've got tons to talk about. Even if we didn't have a full show, I would find some things to talk about. Like weird stuff, I'll do it. But the reality is we don't have to dig that deep on things. You know what I mean? So, and
you do have the Olympics coming up a week from Friday to kind of fill that void until football season begins. So.
But see, people watch the Olympics differently.
There's no doubt about that.
I'm going to be honest,
and that's an interesting topic.
I'm going to be honest, too. I'm a Winter Olympics guy. I'm a winter. Yes.
Why winter, not summer?
I love the downhill races. Track and field's fine. I like it all. I really do. I can turn on Olympics for anything. And when it's the medal rounds for whatever sport, I'm there. I'm like, oh, Belarus, you guys blew it. I get into it because, like, we're talking about people's lives being changed, especially in some of these countries that, like, a guy pops up and he's the best fill in the blank. The guy who's the high jumper from Italy, who's like the best in the world right now, like he's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I can't believe what I just said.
Here's the thing about the Olympics. You're never going to tune in and watch the shot put in a non-Olympic year in June.
Of course not.
Right? You're not
They're
going
like, this guy's
not
the world
many
champion.
of you, unless you're really a hardcore track and field fan, you're not watching the national track and field finals. So what's great about the Olympics is it gives all those incredible athletes who are great, they're the best at what they do in the world. It gives them that platform. And we get behind it because everybody is patriotic and loves their country and also loves to see greatness. And you package it all together, and
I'm all about
it's a spectacle. But you're right. Hardcore football fan today doesn't care about swimming and gymnastics.
Yeah. I do have
but there's a lot of people that don't care about sports at all that really, really get into the Olympics.
All the sports that have judges, I have a hard time with.
I agree with that.
Stopwatch is king. You know what I mean? Lines on courts, fields, things like that. Those are the things that tell me where greatness really is. When somebody wins an event and they go, let's go to the judges, let's throw out the top and the bottom one. I'm like, then what are we doing? What are we doing here? All right. Let's kick off the program. It's the way that we get every top of the hour started. It's with the cut. Let's jump in right here. Let's talk a little bit of Jazz basketball, some movement. Let's welcome back to Salt Lake City a fan favorite for the second time as a member of the Utah Jazz. He loved it that much. We'll get into it right here, so let's jump into the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, yeah. The cut brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJANwealth.com for all your retirement needs. And, of course, Roundball Rock. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Want to welcome back with open arms. I bought his jersey the first time around. I don't know if he's going to change numbers or if the Jazz are going to end up retiring the number. Russell Westbrook has been traded for. The Jazz just love this guy. They love what he can do on the court, on and off the court, JJ. Russell Westbrook.
It's kind of, you look back on, Blue Edwards had two shots with the Jazz.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Korver, John Crotty, and now Russell Westbrook.
Now Russell Westbrook. If you bought his jersey,
Earl Bailey too.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you bought his jersey, and maybe you even picked up Derrick Rose's jersey when he was a member of the Utah Jazz. Congrats. I don't know.
You know what we should do?
Put up all the jerseys in here of all the guys.
Well, that would be awesome. We need to put together a top 5 all-time Jazz players that never actually played a game in a Jazz jersey. You'd have Glenn Rice.
Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose is one. Our favorite analyst in all of basketball, Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins is a guy. Russell Westbrook twice.
Russell Westbrook twice. There you go.
He's decided he's gonna buy the number 0 off of or who's the actual number 0? Because 00 is Clarkson, is JC. I don't know who the 0 was last year, but he might be off the team. What was Kris Dunn? Because he was part of this deal. So the Jazz have made the deal. We joke, but yes, a transaction was made. And for people who are listening, JJ, this type of a buyout situation, what does it benefit your team? When something like this happens and you see that the Jazz make a swap, Russell Westbrook ends up coming to the Utah Jazz, quote unquote, and some cash considerations. You don't see it that often, again. And the sign and trade agreement for guard Kris Dunn. So Kris Dunn, who we didn't think was going to have a long, we didn't think he was going to be on this Utah Jazz roster this season anyway. What's the benefit of a move like this? And is it one of they get a 2027 draft via the Lakers in the second round? A second rounder, that's a throwaway. Although that's a Bronny.
Are you sure that's a throwaway? That's the most valuable piece in this trade.
Oh, it's pick 34.
Because they'll suck.
Oh, because they will
get a high second round.
Yeah. Nice. I don't know. I see stuff like this all the time, JJ, and I go, I don't know if I love this. But, I mean, it's a move. I mean, you get rid of Kris Dunn, you get a second
rounder. Would you rather
rounder.
just let Kris Dunn walk, or do you want to get a second-round pick?
No, you get a second-round pick and cash considerations.
That's right.
Plus, Russell Westbrook, I'm assuming he's signing a deal here so he can go into the Hall of Fame as a member of the Utah Jazz. Is that right?
I wish.
How long does Russell Westbrook have in the league? Do you think is this the end of it then?
Well,
he'll end up on a roster somewhere, right?
Well, here's what's in the works. Once he clears waivers, which should happen, because no one wants to pick up his contract. He is expected to sign with the Denver Nuggets as a free agent. He wants to go play for a winner, and they are in need of depth, and he can provide that. So Russell Westbrook is he long for in this league? No. Is he coming towards the end? Absolutely.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
100%.
The triple-double
100%.
records alone. I mean, was it a full year that he averaged a triple-double in the league? Or
yeah, at least a full year. It may have been longer. If you watched him play, the force that he played with, he carried that franchise for a while after Kevin Durant left, and they were still pretty good. The numbers he's put up, how dynamic he was. Now he didn't put up with a lot of nonsense from the media. He was very no nonsense, which I think from all I've heard kind of paints the wrong picture about what he's really like. Apparently he's a really, really good person, but he has not shown that in his media appearances and is sometimes taking himself a little too serious. But as far as his play on the court, he plays with force that not many guys in NBA history have played with.
Listen to this stat line for a career of almost 1,200 games. 21.7 on his points, 7.1 and 8.1 for rebounds and assists. 8 assists per game by itself these days is wild, right? But Jeremy was just pointing it out. He had 3 years.
Yes.
Or 4 years, sorry. 4
yep.
years. And really it was almost 4 in a row. He had 3 in a row where he averaged a triple-double. And the crown jewel of all those is when he had that one season with the Wizards. 31.5 points per game. No, sorry. Here are the points per game. The crown jewel of those years was when he went 31.6, 10.7, and 10.4 for an entire freaking season.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer or 100%?
Yeah. I mean, 1,200 games almost and averaging 21.5 points and then 7 and 8. That'll do it on its own. But what's crazy is that he did all that and nobody has gotten close to something like that now, right? LeBron is the type of guy that can have numbers like this. He'll have multiple type games like this every year. To average it for a season's wild. I don't know why I just went off on this Russell Westbrook love fest. Maybe it's because he's a member of the Utah Jazz. No?
Not for long.
All right, so Kris Dunn, disappointing is he had flashes, right? And the Jazz were believing in that guy when he came from the Lakers, right? Came from the Lakers.
Kris Dunn?
Yes.
No.
Or where'd he come from?
He's in the G League.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and they kind of revived his career, and
he absolutely resurrected his career here in Utah. He was obviously he was a lottery pick.
He was a first rounder. Yes.
And he had some injury issues in Chicago, and it just didn't work out. Or no, in Minnesota. Then he ends up in Chicago. His path was just nuts.
Yeah, it's all over the place. He was at the
Trailblazers
for a year.
He was drafted by the Trailblazers, 5th pick overall in the 2016 NBA draft. That was the Ben Simmons draft. He was taken ahead of Jamal Murray, by the way. That's a lot of pressure.
Wow.
So you're all of a sudden you're in this situation in Minnesota where they expect you to be great, and he wasn't. He struggled. He got injured, so he ends up in Chicago the next season.
Oh, my gosh.
Plays 3 injury-riddled seasons in Chicago, then plays 4 games with the Atlanta Hawks in 2020-21. And then from there, he had a cup of coffee with Portland, but he literally had to go to the G League and fight and play in the G League just to stick around. And the Jazz found him in the G League, gave him a shot, and the rest is history.
Let me remind you, too, when he came in for those last 22 games of that 2022-2023 season.
Yeah.
Here's what you thought you had with Kris Dunn. Because we were talking about that might be your main ball handler, right, in 2023, 2024. Because he went 26 minutes a night in those 22 games, 13.2 points a game, 53.7 from the field, 47.2 from 3.
Yeah.
47.2 from 3. And everyone went, this is the answer right here. Because we were wondering who's going to guide these rookies, man. Who's going to help these guys out? And when he came back for that next year, everything dropped off.
Yeah.
And his production wasn't there. And more importantly, JJ, the biggest knock was the defense wasn't there. The amount of blow-by, pieces of defense that you saw out of Kris Dunn, you just did not see a guy that was going to fit into that system.
Well, and I think the bigger story was he wasn't going to fit in. He's 29 years old.
Right.
He's about to turn 30. He's a better fit where he's going with the Clippers than he was with the Jazz with their youth movement and where they're going. So
what's the next what's the next domino to fall then?
For the Jazz?
Yeah. THT.
A Lauri Markannen extension.
Right.
Taylor Horton-Tucker's still out there. I mean, there's been reporting done that he's not going to they don't expect him to return.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like another name in that same year where he had some pretty good flashes and then last year we were like,
well,
did he forget to hit the conditioning trail during the offseason?
You threw the ball to him and you never got it back.
Yeah.
He would run into a brick wall every time. And usually didn't finish at the rim.
Speaking of the not moving of the feet either too, and a lot of
so it just was
defense.
He's still young. There's still a lot of potential there. He did have moments, but by the mid-season he was out of the rotation. He had DNPs for most the second half of the season. So I think the Jazz made up decision there, even though he's young and he does fit this group and timeline, that he's not part of their plans. And Kris Dunn's going to go to a place that's going to be better fit for him. And the Jazz are going to be able to use the roster spots of Kris Dunn and probably Taylor Horton-Tucker for these new rookies they're bringing in from this class. The Jazz are going to be young. And there's going to be rookies, plural, in the rotation. And that's going to equal a lot of losses, even if you extend Lauri Markannen.
I'm trying to think if there was I bet the minivan, Niang and THT didn't cross paths when they were at Iowa State, right? Different times at Iowa State.
No, I think they were just
a couple years apart.
Yeah.
Either way, look, if the Jazz make moves like this and you get some cash out of it, that's always a benefit, right?
You got a second-round pick out of it when you otherwise would have just had a free agent walk.
So that's the idea: is to just make some value out of what you have.
Here's the truth, and I'm being straight. We wouldn't be talking about this right now if Russell Westbrook wasn't involved in the deal. It would have just been details. We would have glossed it over, wouldn't have given it a second thought. But when Russell Westbrook's mentioned with his career and his history here in games played in Utah, we didn't bring that up. Again, he's one of those players, and a polarizing player, and there's a lot of people here that have their opinions about him. So you hear his name and it instantly gets your attention, and it certainly did again. And it's kind of just it's going to be one of those funny little trivia questions about how Russell Westbrook got traded here twice but never played a game here. That's about it. That's about it. This is not a big trade. It's not a big move. This is the Jazz getting some kind of value out of Kris Dunn deciding that he was going to sign with the Clippers, which is totally fine for him. It's for the best for everybody involved, and the Jazz are going to get some assets out of it. You get a second-round pick swap. You're going to get some cash. Ultimately, how much does this impact the franchise? Not much. It's just another pick in the coffers, which the Jazz are happy to add to their stockpile.
So the next move is August
6th.
Timeline-wise, August 6th is when you're going to see,
which isn't far off,
that renegotiation, the extension for Markannen. I think that let's stop with the whole back and forth with the Warriors. At some point, the deal hasn't been done. Why would you keep coming to the table if you're the Jazz or the Warriors, right? Like, how many times at some point when the manager at the car dealership, when they go, let me take these numbers back to my manager. You know that move that they do. Let me take these numbers back to the manager. On the 14th time, walk out of the dealership. That car should not be yours.
Well, here's the deal.
For them too, they should walk away too.
The longer the car sits in the dealership, the more that person walks by the glass every day and sees that car and realizes it's not theirs yet. The temptation is there to continue to try to find a way to get it.
But I
think that's what's going on with the Warriors and the Jazz right now. Is the Jazz aren't going to budge on their price.
Right.
They don't have to trade Lauri Markannen. And I think the Jazz do want to extend him and keep him on the roster. It's going to take a deal to blow them away, and they have a desperate team on the other side. The Warriors are desperate to make this move. The Warriors need to extend their life as a contender, even though I still don't think this helps them, but they're desperate to find something to extend the window that they have of competing for championships with Steph Curry and Draymond Green on the roster. Klay Thompson leaving to the Dallas Mavericks without replacing him with anybody is a massive blow to their quest. They need to replace him with someone that's impactful in a big way, and Lauri Markannen would be just that. The Warriors are desperate to make this move. And why are they desperate, and why is it Lauri, and why is it the Jazz? Because Lauri Markannen is the best player in the NBA that could be had. He's the best player in the NBA that could possibly be traded for right now. Name one other. You start going through the top 20, 25, 30 players in the league.
The teams aren't
no
moving
team
them.
is – there's nothing you can do to get that player in a trade. And that's why the Jazz are kind of stuck in this situation. Is if the Jazz could, they would go all in on a star player and speed up their timeline and go contend for a playoff spot. But that player's not available, so they have to wait. And they have that player on their roster. So the player that they need to go out and get is a player of Lauri Markkanen's caliber, but that's not available. But Lauri Markkanen is a player that a lot of teams out there would be willing to give up a lot for. So that's why this situation exists between the Warriors and the Jazz. The Kings are out of the chase. They went and got DeMar DeRozan. The Spurs are out of the chase. They went and got Harrison Barnes in that trade. The Jazz are the team with the best player in the league right now that could be traded for. And the Warriors are desperate. And how desperate are the Warriors going to be by September 1st? That might be too late because I don't think they can make that deal done at that point. So I think the Warriors want to get this deal done before Lauri signs that extension. Because then they can trade for him before August 6th. And then the Warriors can make that extension offer with Lauri Markanen.
So Russell Westbrook, of course, like you mentioned, Woj is saying he's going to be a Nugget after he clears waivers. At that point, it's not like you look at the Nuggets and go, well, they got way better today. I don't know. I mean,
he's the 10th. At this point,
he's the 10th guy on the bench, right?
He's a veteran piece who can give you bench play, and if there's an injury or there's a situation, you're certainly comfortable with him starting.
All right.
But is it going to help the Nuggets get back to a finals? I doubt it.
All right. So does the buyout of Westbrook, what does that do to the books of the Jazz? Does that change their cap?
Their cap is so big that it does. Matter. I think they do.
It's not a huge hit.
But it's not.
I don't know what the number was on the buyout. So
you have to get a capologist in here to explain all that.
As is tradition, or what do they say? As per policy of the team, the terms of the deal has not been released. I want to know what the cash was. How much cash did the Jazz get out of that? It was like $80. Is it like a Jersey Mike's?
Everyone's going to Ruth's Chris. Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge are going to Ruth's Chris.
Like, is it $4 million? I don't know what the cash numbers are these days.
You got to do it. You have to do it now.
Oh, Dee and I went to Ruth's Chris the other night. Oh, Hotel Park City. Oh. Excuse you?
So Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck are getting sloppy steaks tonight.
Sloppy steaks. No, the $47 million was the buyout.
Last time.
That wasn't this time around.
Sorry,
Google. That was the
$47 million.
I was like, please no.
Gives me the giant text. I'm assuming
please
did
no.
not have a $47 million contract.
Jeremy, AI fooled you again. All right. We'll take a break. We got more to go. We'll come back.
We're going to Ruth's Chris.
We're going to go. Dee and I had an amazing dinner over the weekend.
Danny and Justin just invited us to Ruth's Chris.
And if you haven't gotten your steak, what do they call it? With the crab meat on it? Oscar style. It's not animal style. You don't get it animal style.
Oscar style?
What do they call it? Hey, Jeremy, I'm going to need this info. What do they call the steak with the crab meat and the cheese on it at Ruth's Chris? Efforting.
It is Oscar style.
No,
you're right. It's Oscar style steak.
You can't trick a fat man.
crab, Oscar. So yeah, it's Oscar-style steak.
You. Gosh, I do.
The Oscar-style steak.
And with that blue crab meat on there. Oh. All right, we'll take a break.
Let's
come
go
back.
get Oscar-style steaks. we just bought out Russell Westbrook.
Fewer Doug Wright impressions around the corner, or more. You don't know.
No, more, please.
Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that thigh!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody. Oh, we're one step closer to bringing you JJ and I in 8K, I'm assuming, on these cameras.
Do you want
8K?
Turn it down, would you? Could you make mine more
I
like a
don't- I don't
Barbara
think that
Walters, like
exists
soft focus?
Yet.
480p?
get me
480p.
get me on the Barbara Walters soft focus so that those lines are softened up a little bit. You know what I mean?
You want the 30 Rock treatment, remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's exactly right. Every time that what's her last name? Or Jenna? No, it's Jenna Maroney. She was the one who was asking for it, right? Yeah, that's by the way underrated. That's a top 3 television series all time for me. 30 Rock.
It's great.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
All right, we got tons going on today, despite the fact that, and by the way, Rory McIlroy's Open Championship might be over. I don't know. I mean, this is something we're going to have to ask Brian Taylor at 4:30, right? Or 4 o'clock. We got 30 minutes. I'm going to ask Brian Taylor. I mean, Rory McIlroy's tournament's probably over. You can't go out day one and be tied for 129th at 7 over. He's 13 shots off the lead, JJ.
That's not good.
Like, he's going to have to make the cut, because the cut line, I mean, we won't know the projected cut lines until tomorrow, but I mean, that's tough to come back from. And how every British Open, everybody just assumes, hey, Rory, you're supposed to be winning this thing, right? Every time. It's like him. I read an article today. It was like, Tiger Woods still believes he can win this tournament. No knock on Tiger. I think Tiger knows exactly where he's at. I think he knows that this is a thing that if you can play in it till you're 60, if you can play in the Masters till you're 90, you do it. You do it.
And Tiger's ahead of so since you brought up Tiger, he's tied with Ricky Fowler for 8 over. They're tied at 138th.
Okay, there you go. So they're only
Tiger's ahead of Justin Leonard.
I text my kid today because he's
Cameron Smith.
My son's grinding doing the golf thing, right? And he shot a 78 today. I said, hey, you and Rory McIlroy.
Oh.
He was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, yes. But Rory McIlroy's getting crap for it. I'm congratulating you.
Tied for 129.
Tied for 129. Like, that's crazy that you just go one day in and you're already like, I don't think you can recover. He's going to tee off. And by the way, when you have that poor of an outing and he's teeing off relatively early tomorrow, and so the winds die down at these courses typically in the afternoon. We'll see. We'll have to see. All right. Thanks for being on the program, everybody. Your life moves fast. Quantum fiber and the internet that Quantum Fiber provides is faster. Move up to tomorrow's speeds today. QuantumFiber.com. That's QuantumFiber.com. NBA general manager is still split on whether or not, we just talked about whether or not the Lauri Markannen deal could still happen. ESPN Zach Lowe says there has to be a lot to basically make this thing still happen. So there's a possibility that this trade still could go down, even though both sides have been staring down one another for so long. But they are looking at this thing and they're going, hey, and this is what Zach Lowe said. He said, look, the timeline is going to be tight. Talking about the window of the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. I think that we can probably say even I guess the window would stay open only if they get Lauri Markannen. I don't know because I don't know how old Andrew Wiggins is. But Steph Curry and Draymond Green. How old's Draymond? He's older than Steph, isn't he? Or he plays like it. Draymond's probably in that late 30s
34.
also. Oh,
he'll be 35 after the All-Star
But his
break.
game has fallen off like he's 36.
We've talked about it with Locke. He's not good anymore.
He's not good anymore. And at this point, they keep him around and they've signed him. It's a thank you for the years of service that he's done.
Andrew Wiggins is 29. He will turn 30 just after the All-Star break.
And when was the last time he had a decent year? 2022.
He had that 1 year.
Yes. And so now it's not a three-headed monster.
Far from it.
Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins is not the thing that's going to get you to the promised land. And so the Jazz are in a perfect spot if a deal does go down because they would absolutely fleece a desperate Golden State Warriors team. And so if the Warriors and the Warriors don't have Bob Myers anymore at the is it Dunleavy?
Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Yeah, Dunleavy Jr. is the GM, and he might have to do what you don't ever want to do as a GM and just say, thank you guys so much, and start selling off those pieces and just give up. And you don't want to show Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins that time's kind of over, but that's the way it feels a little bit. I don't see this Warriors team being a part of even a playoff run next year if they don't improve this roster off of what they have right now.
No chance. So the improvements they've made this offseason. They added Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, former Timberwolves player, former Spur. They still have Jonathan Kuminga. They still have Gary Payton II. Brandon Podziemski is a player they really like. In fact, Tim Lacob was on the NBA TV last night talking about how they think Brandon Podziemski is an all-star. But that's a coincidence that they went on national TV talking about how this player's an all-star? You think they're trying to send a message to the Jazz? That was really interesting.
Well, Podziemski wasn't even. But they said that Podziemski might not even have been a part of any of these talks.
Yeah,
they said that was a piece that the Jazz may have gone.
They're going to have to give him up.
Podziemski.
The Jazz aren't making this deal without either Podziemski or Kuminga.
And 3 or 4 first-round picks, right?
Right.
Like that.
3 is what we're hearing.
3 first-round picks,
unprotected.
Podziemski and Kuminga,
and then 3 pick swaps.
Would you like that? You love that deal?
Yes.
It's so hard.
If you make that decision, that's what you have to do with Lauri, and it's you want to give Lauri a chance to go play somewhere else where he has a better chance to win and he fits better, then I guess you do that. I don't love the idea of trading Lauri Markannen at all. Let me be clear on that. But if they feel like this is where they're at with the franchise and it doesn't make any sense to hold on to Lauri Markannen as far as trying to win basketball games at this point, then that's probably the best solution is to try to get some really young. I mean, Podziemski's 21 years old.
Give me a Western.
Kuminga's 21 years old.
Give me the Western Conference.
Players.
Give me the Western Conference playoff run that the Golden State Warriors right now make. And then give me the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, Suns. What kind of a run that would be? Because right now, I like the Phoenix Suns. I'm buying into Matt Ishbia saying that Matt Ishbia might only be right about the Golden State Warriors wanting to swap lineups with him. I don't know, because in my mind, the Suns have a better roster than the Golden State Warriors do at this point.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, at this point in their careers, which big 3 would you take?
Oh, yeah.
I'd take the Suns' big 3.
Right. And
the Warriors don't have much better depth than the Suns do.
We make fun of the Bradley Beal move and how they sold their soul for Bradley Beal in a no-trade clause and $1 kajillion. But Bradley Beal is going to be pretty darn productive next year, right? I don't think we're going to see Bradley Beal not be some version of pretty darn good.
It's not the play, it's the injuries.
Right.
He can't get on the court right now.
So
or stay on it. If so, are you asking if the Warriors traded for Lauri Markannen, where does that put them in the West?
Right.
Well, let's go through it.
Who do you have?
Let's say, okay, the Thunder were the number 1 seed. They're not dropping out of the top 6, are they? Denver Nuggets still on top?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Timberwolves aren't moving from that top tier. We're doing top 6 right now.
Okay.
So Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves. Now here's where it gets interesting. I think the Clippers do take a big drop. So the Clippers are a team to watch as a team that could drop, which would open up a spot in the top 6. So let's assume that happens. Let's move Dallas up to 4. Who's the 5th best team in the West at that point? Now here's where you start the debate. You mentioned the Phoenix Suns. I would agree with you. I'd put the Phoenix Suns at number 5. Now you've got a group of the Clippers, Lakers, Pelicans, Kings, and Warriors. And also keep in mind that you have a Houston Rockets team that may be ready to take a jump. Also, the Memphis Grizzlies were 27-55 last year because they didn't have John Morant. He's back. They're back. That's not a team that's going to go 27-55 next year. And they just added Zach Edey, who may be the best rookie in the league next year. He's the favorite in Vegas to win the Rookie of the Year.
Really? So that number 9 overall pick might be justified now.
And you know what? I was watching Summer League when he played. Wasn't a lot, but I was like, you know what?
Not bad.
He's actually going to be he's going to be all right. I mean, is he better than Walker Kessler? Yes. That's not a knock against Walker. It's just Zach Edey's a good offensive center. And I think he's going to be able to be just fine, and he really can dominate the rim. He's really tough to move.
We used to be able to get on NBA.com. I don't know if they still have it. The wins against replacement. What is Paul George? What is the subtraction of Paul George win-wise take away for this? Is that 10 wins out the window?
Probably. So let's say it's 5. That would put them at 46-36. That's what the Kings were at 9th.
See, isn't that insane?
That's enough in the West to drop you out of the playoffs.
The margins are razor thin in these things, and the windows are not as open as you think.
The Warriors also were 46-36 last year.
And the Pelicans could be a 56-win team next year.
100%. They got talent. They didn't trade Brandon Ingram.
We thought maybe Ingram would have been part of the deal.
Can Zion play 75 games or more? What happens to the Pelicans if Zion is healthy for 75 games or more? And that's a really talented team.
They could be the you know what they could be next year is the Timberwolves of the West.
100%
right?
good. That's a great comp. Yes, they could be the next Timberwolves.
And what's crazy is
what happens if they do?
But we're talking about the Thunder. By the way, we're talking about the Thunder like it's the no-brainer number 1 seed in the West continuing, right?
I don't think they may not be number 1, but they're not going to drop. They're not going to drop below 3 or 4.
I look at them like if they're not 1 or 2.
Why not?
Yeah.
They got better this offseason.
And even if they're not this year, they'll probably be 1, 2 or 3 times in the next 4 or 5 years.
Dylan Jones is going to be in their rotation, by the way.
Gosh, dang it.
Isn't that crazy?
And then Sam Presti's looking like some sort of genius over there.
Well.
And the Jazz.
He hasn't gotten it right every time, but he's got it right more than not.
And he's gotten it right now.
Yeah.
And so that's all that kind of matters.
Boy, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. Look back on that now,
like
and
genius.
I think I'm not gonna. I think it's little apples and oranges. I don't think the Jazz and the Thunder are the same situation. But if you're looking for hope, Jazz fans, like the Thunder went through a lot of pain for 3 years.
How many years ahead of the Thunder from the Jazz?
4 or 5 years. Because have the Jazz really honestly started a rebuild?
No.
Have they truly started a rebuild?
And there's no.
They don't have that. So they had Shai. They got Shai in the Paul George trade. So that timeline officially started when they got Shai because he's now their best player. You don't have that guy on the roster right now. At least we don't believe they do. Right?
Yeah, no.
Do you have your MVP number 1 alpha dog on the roster right now? I don't think you do. So has your rebuild officially begun? I don't know how is that how you judge it? I don't know.
The crazy thing is that like Chet Holmgren is the 3rd or 4th best player on that roster. And he's going to be, I guarantee he's going to have a phenomenal year next year. Guarantee it. That guy is like.
As long as his feet stay intact, he's going to be a monster.
Got to stay healthy. But man, that's an NBA. Like we initially were like.
This is why it's so hard.
I know. But the margins are razor thin. Like I said, even if Paul George just takes away 5 wins from that from that trading him loses you 5 extra games this year. You end up being on the very fringe of barely making the playoffs or not making them at all.
Well, this is why Golden State's panicking. They were 46-36. They lost Klay Thompson. They replaced him with Kyle Anderson and Buddy Hield. Not good enough, right?
Good
so
enough.
you were 10th last year. You made the play-in at 10 and lost. And the Rockets are coming. And the Grizzlies are going to make a jump. So there's 2 teams knocking on the door that weren't even in the play-in last year.
And the Jazz are oh, wait.
And you know what? What if the Spurs decide that they want to kick it in gear here? They were 22-60 last year. I'm not sure they have quite enough, but is Wemby better? They added some guys. They add Chris Paul. They added Barnes.
Who does the Jazz get? Who do the Jazz get more wins than next year? And do the San Antonio Spurs leap the Jazz?
100%.
Yeah.
The Blazers are the only team on paper that are worse.
So you're going to go.
And that's if Lauri signs the extension. If not, then guess who's bottom? And then you're wondering, well,
top 5 pick, let's go.
This is why this is the conversation you have to have, because you're looking at a Golden State Warriors team that's desperate to add Lauri just to get in the playoffs.
Hey, Jazz fans, do you want to get some unreasonable expectations in your head? Start just praying for Cooper Flagg for the next 12 months, for the next 11 months. When's the draft? April, right? No, sorry, June. For the next 11 months. Hit it hard. Call your grandma. See if she'll throw some extra prayers for this Utah Jazz team. All right, let's go. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go. We have a Would You Rather right around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, welcome back. JJ and Alex at 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Would you rather? Brought to you by our Hercules Hero of the Week, which, by the way, in just about 45 minutes, we're going to reveal this week's winner. You can nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know in your neck of the woods by nominating the Hercules Hero of the Week. What do? You submit your nomination, KSLSports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday to our program. That's today. And we will read off that winner for you. Help us celebrate the efforts of those sports volunteers that are making an impact in the youth in your community with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Get a prize from both of those. And I will say, too, like there are so many, we were talking about last night. Baseball ended last night, and today we picked up our football equipment for our kids. Like that's where our lives are at.
Yep. My 7-year-old starting his journey.
Isn't that funny?
In tackle football. He picked up his stuff on Tuesday
When
night.
you put the helmet on the 7-year-old, because we have the same situation.
Oh, man, that's emotional.
Well, you put it on, you're like,
It's awesome.
well, it's cool, but then at the same time, you're like, I don't know if that thing fits, buddy. You know, you're trying to get the right fit, trying to get the right ear pads on and
Yeah,
stuff.
none of that stuff fits on a 7-year-old. I
It
don't
really
care
is
how
hard.
big they are.
You know
what I mean?
And they are dying to make it fit, and they're like, this fits, look at this. And I'm like, let's get you the extra small. All right? But, man, it's pretty cool. And there are so many youth sports volunteers in every neck of the woods, and you can nominate those people for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Just go to KSLSports.com/contest. You could probably think of somebody right now in your neighborhood and say they do a phenomenal job. They've impacted the life of those kids. KSLSports.com/contest. All right. Let me see here. Would you rather be a teenager and hitting the pros extremely early? I try to think the most early we see guys in some of the sports where you can be really, really, really young. So Philadelphia Union in the MLS just had this kid just broke Freddie Adu's. I think Caven Sullivan just broke Freddie Adu's 14-year-old record. I mean, he was 14 when he got on the pitch, right?
He did it 13 days younger than
Freddie Adu.
Caven Sullivan.
Caven Sullivan, cool. They showed him, and you know his face when he's running around the field, and you're going, "This is fun for this kid. Yeah, this is cool."
He doesn't look like a 14-year-old.
No, but that's what that's what happens, right? Because there's a lot of kids on my kid's football team. You're like, oh, okay.
What are they feeding these kids, and how do I get some for mine?
Right. So 14 years old, Caven Sullivan, great. Tennis, you see some younger guys, right? And gals.
The gymnastics is all about youth.
You only have a small window. If you're 19, they're like, ooh.
Like college gymnasts are no longer, for
like
the most part, this is not always the case.
Right.
And but
They're
sometimes
past their
they're
Olympics
past
prime.
their Olympic prime
Yeah.
by the time they reach college. Think about that.
Romania's like 17? Too
What?
old.
You washed up 10-year-old.
Fill in the blank Enescu. You're toast, right? Same thing with like ice skating, stuff like that. So would you rather be a pro athlete as a teenager or you win gold as a teenager? Because we know
Win
how
gold as a teenager.
I was going to say the same because you know what the way too early into a sport teen as a pro kind of ends up. The expectations almost rarely live up to what they are.
Think about teenagers who have been thrust into those situations in professional sports. It's one thing to go to the Olympics and win a medal, but to be on a pro team and deal with pro problems at that age, that's not. I mean, look at all the issues that happened with the one before they instituted the one and done. You had a lot of kids that were trying to jump to the NBA straight from high school.
Right.
And obviously there were some great success stories. Kevin Garnett, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, obviously. So, but for every one of those, there were 10 or 15 other guys that flamed out and never worked out, and their lives were they had nothing. It wasn't a great situation. So, being a pro athlete at that age, that feels not right. And I applaud Kevin Sullivan being able to do it. And obviously, it's handled a certain way. But think of what for a 14-year-old being a teammate with a 30-year-old is just. Doesn't make a lot of logical sense, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, the teenage Olympian thing, that we see that all the time. That makes a lot of sense.
Like
and the pressure that you put on a teenager, like think about how incredible it is that LeBron James, the amount of hype he had at his age and how he's been able to live up to that hype and more.
For every season.
What a tribute to him that he's been able to do that. But that's rare. So, thrusting a teenager into pro sports is not ideal.
Let me see here. Oh, wow. You want to know the youngest ages for winning gold medals?
Yeah.
In the 1896 Olympics.
1896. Okay.
Dimitrios Laundras competed in the Olympic Games. Didn't win the gold medal, but at this age competed in the Summer Olympics in Athens. No, won bronze for the gymnastics team. Dimitrios Laundras for...
How old was he?
Any guesses?
9.
10.
10-year-old.
10 years old.
10-year-old wins bronze at the 1896 Olympics. We all remember that.
Gaurika Singh of Nepal competing in the 100-meter backstroke at 13 years old. This is 2016.
Wow.
Sky Brown at 13. First Olympic medal during skateboarding at 13 years old.
That's right, yep.
At the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah,
You were there.
I was there.
Kokona Hiraki, 12 years old, also in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Yeah, that's crazy. Youngest medalist in 85 years was that performance. But there's a handful of 15, 14, 13, almost all of them gymnastics, but you see periodically, like this kid, let me see here. Oh, wow. The 1968 Olympics in Grenoble, France, did not medal Beatrice Huitsu at 11 years old in singles figure skating. Disappointment at 11 years old, not medaling. Sorry.
Washed up.
Yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go here on the program. When we return, we've got Brian Taylor. BT's going to give us his thoughts. I asked you earlier if you can recover from a 7-over first day at the Open Championship. Rory McIlroy has exactly that hill to climb starting tomorrow in round 2. Well, we'll get through and get BT's thoughts on round 1 and how round 2 could shake out and how your locals are doing here as well. Stay right here, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.